Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday, August 26th, in the 21st week in Ordinary Time of our liturgical year. It's been said that we can learn a great deal from Scripture by being willing to see ourselves in the many characters that make up a particular passage. What are those characters trying to teach us about life, about ourselves, about our relationship with God? Most of the time, that would be pretty easy to do. But sometimes it can take a tremendous amount of courage to see ourselves in one of the characters in a scripture passage. So let's listen to today's gospel reading from the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus said, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You were like whitewashed tombs, which appear beautiful on the outside, but inside are full of dead men's bones and every kind of filth. Even so, on the outside you appear righteous, but inside you are filled with hypocrisy and evil doing. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You build the tombs of the prophets and adorn the memorials of the righteous, and you say, 'If we had lived in the days of our ancestors, we would not have joined them in shedding the prophets' blood.' Thus you bear witness against yourselves that you are the children of those who murdered the prophets. Now fill up what your ancestors measured out." So that's quite a scripture passage, right? We find Jesus leveling a withering critique of the Jewish religious leaders. And the scribes and the Pharisees had different roles among the Jewish people, but were considered the leaders who oversaw the people in following the laws of God and the laws of the temple, the rituals, customs, etc. Now, as I suggested at the beginning of this video, in trying to allow ourselves to see how we might be like the characters in the story, in this particular passage, we may not want to find ourselves in the position of the scribes and Pharisees. I wouldn't want to be on the other end of Jesus's words here, because they're very challenging and they're difficult to take in. But I think it's important to understand the context of what Jesus is saying. He's not criticizing the scribes and Pharisees simply because they're religious leaders. He had many confrontations with them throughout his ministry. And those confrontations usually centered around the scribes and the Pharisees being either unable or unwilling to extend mercy and compassion and kindness. They would usually go after Jesus and say he wasn't following the laws of the Jewish faith. And this criticism of Jesus would come after a moment where he healed someone or went to eat at the house of someone that the scribes and Pharisees thought were unclean, or after he forgave someone's sins or offered comfort. For Jesus, people mattered the most, and mattered more than the simple letter of the law. It was most important for him to reach out to people, to heal, to comfort, to welcome, even if it didn't quite line up with the religious rules or customs. So when Jesus confronts the Pharisees and scribes in this passage, it's an opportunity to have Jesus confront us, you and me. And it's a time to maybe ask ourselves, are there times when we are more concerned about our own lives, our own schedules, our own sense of comfort, our own way of doing things, and we forget the person right in front of us who needs us? They need us to see them as a person, not as an inconvenience or a statistic or a number or not worthy of our time or our concern. You know, we're living in such a challenging and difficult time, you know, with the pandemic and all the division and the incivility that we're experiencing in our country. It's a difficult time to be a disciple of Christ and to not only talk about being a disciple, but actually live it day in and day out. There's an awful lot of unkindness happening around us, and that the needs of people can get lost in all of the noise. When Jesus is challenging the scribes and the Pharisees, and I think he's asking them to go deeper. You know, look and go deeper than just the rules, deeper than clever responses, to go deeper and see that their brother and sister is in need, and to go deeper to look at our sister and brother through the eyes of love. And so I think that that's a great challenge. I mean, I feel that. I think probably you feel that in the midst of all that's happening these days, amidst all the noise and the sorrow and the difficulties, to really stop, to listen, to really see other people, to go deeper to a place where love resides, where love is what matters most. You know, we're entering into that time. Many have already done so in figuring out about school, right? Parents, students, teachers, all the folks who work in a school setting. And I'm sure it's just such a very stressful time. So I hope you know that I'm really praying for all of you, most especially, for the patience and the wisdom and the kindness and the love that is needed during these days. So until we see each other again, I wish you and all those you love much peace and much hope.